You haven't worked with me before. I do coverage and risk stuff with Enduris. I wanted to talk about general risk management basics, and that sounds like a pretty dull topic. So I looked at your schedule. I don't know if I've ever done that before, and I was seeing a lot of kind of stuff that's going on. I'm not trying to chase you to other topics, but I saw school gardens, wildfire resilience, drones. Who's got a drone? Yeah, all that. Yeah, so yeah, you're just checking all the boxes so far. Habitat restoration projects, culverts, bridge. You don't have to explain that one. Okay. Fish passage, design. You know, you got engineers. I think there's more engineers than there were 5 years ago, something like that, right? Yeah. And then riverbank stabilization, urban agriculture. I saw kale, yes, and let's get jalapeno. I don't know if I'm saying it with the right inflection, but that was kind of cool. Who's got automobiles? You know, who's got property? Who takes stuff out of the field? Trailers is good. A lot of that stuff just intersects with Enduris, and we can cover a lot of that stuff. And sometimes somebody throws a contract at you and says, "Hey, great to collaborate with you. Here, sign this." And you know, we don't want you to just say, "Okay, well, last page, sign." You know, we want you to put a little thought into it. So Enduris is your partner on those things. Did I miss any of the projects? I mean, I was just kind of moving off. As you get into projects, if you're doing something new, if you're doing a new collaboration, if you're not sure how to organize the event from a risk management standpoint, we'll be your partner on these things. And I think many of you here are used to working with Enduris on it. Just ramp it up. I mean, we got 5 people. We used to have 2.5. Now we got 5. So we're just trying to get a little more robust. Sure, that works for you.
I mean, it was. Is it on?
Oh, is it on? That's a good question.
Towards you. Down the other. No, it's off now.
I'm a travel slow.
You know, we can go next slide and I'll play with this. Mess up this whole show.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Okay. Oops. Hold on, let me get you over there. It's up. Whoa. Hold on.
We have those in Enduris too. And there's people that are intentionally quiet in the meetings, so the owl never focuses on them.
There you go.
Those are our introverts. Okay, so let's give that a try. What I want to cover in this presentation, but this presentation is really about you guys. So we'll need time for Q&A. There we go. I want to talk a little bit about member benefits. Quick walkthrough of the Enduris website, and me and Corey are going to work together on that one without a name. Some risk trends, just some of the things that I see more and more about or more interaction about. Best practices, kind of like what to do about it. And then I want to leave time for Q&A. So this is the member benefits part, and we talked a lot about pre-defense in the morning session. I think most of you were here for the morning session. We have a lot of training seminars, and I'll show you a slide on that with the upcoming trainings that are going on. Training scholarships. Did you know we can scholarship? I'll show you a scholarship opportunity that's coming up. Ask a question on MRSC. And then finally, local GovU, which I'll try to show you online. I think I assigned Corey a class on accident. This is our service team. I'll start with Cindy because she's been with us the longest and knows the most. And Cindy's your training person. If you want local gov U help, Cindy can help you with that. She does a lot of other things too, like special events coverage. Conservation districts don't need a lot of special events coverage, but if you get recommended to her from me because you're having a special event, somebody just asked me about, keg of beer and an event, and I thought that might be a special event. So, yeah, Kathy John's retired.
Oh, okay.
25 years with Enduris. She retired a few months ago, and I was lucky that Velvet found us. She came in with some pretty good underwriting experience, and she's going to help with coverage and underwriting questions. And she's going to be the person in the office that you can talk to. Who's going to answer the phone. She can probably help with a lot of risk and contract things. She's only been in Enduris for about a month, but she's doing really well. She's picking things up really well. Enduris is a little different from insurance, traditional insurance, so those are little nuances to learn. I won't do that. And then these are the traveling people. There's myself, there's Mitch, and there's Eric. And Mitch is my West Side staff member that helps with risk management. He's my right-hand man, and he can be there right on the spot. Eric's just like NASCAR. He's doing circles around the state with a company vehicle here, or more one out, I think. And he's doing a lot of the member relations and conferences that Enduris partners with members on. So that's the team. You have a QR scanner, you can hit that and it'll go direct you right back to training. But these are the upcoming trainings that Enduris is hosting. Sorry you missed that one today. I don't know who's going to be home by June 13th, but you can get some legal updates on hiring. This is the scholarship opportunity I wanted to tell everybody about. It's MRSC. You're going to get some legal advice about First Amendment audits. Conservation District had the pleasure of having the First Amendment audit recently. None of those are ever pleasant. We're recording, aren't we? So I will leave my opinions, but you can call me and I will tell you that they better lock me in a room if that ever happens. Sorry. The Summit Law Series that's down here that starts again in August, that's been reoccurring. We're sharing this high dollar presentation with two other state risk pools, the city risk pool and the county risk pool, and Enduris is along for the ride too. And these are paid for trainings where you're going to get legal updates and legal advice on some really important HR topics. Anyone that's administrating in HR, anyone in charge of people, and should be signing up for these, and you will get handouts as well. So you will have some templates that you can work from and work on up in your HR. If you have any questions about the program, fire me a quick question. I might tell you to ask it. Anything?
They're like 4-hour sessions, right? The Summit Laws.
They're a little shorter than 4 hours. I think they're closer to 1.5.
Oh, okay.
Now, because
These are online.
they're all online. Everything's online. We're starting to do a little bit of in-house training. We did one about a few weeks back, but these are so convenient because you can be at the convenience of your own home, but you miss out on the interaction. We want to bring some of that back. The Summit Series gets a lot of involvement, but there's about 200 plus people in there, city administrators and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. The questions are up there and the answers are up there. Here's money's worth, I promise. So these are all paid for by Enduris. And if you want to sign up for the MRSC one, you sign up for it. One scholarship per district. So organize that. Submit your bill to Enduris, we'll reimburse you. You can sign up for one of the three, yeah. I wouldn't discourage you from signing up for all, but if you can't commit to all, just sign up for the one you can do. Yeah, it's on the website, Enduris.us, and there's a training block on there. And I'm gonna actually walk you through that in a few moments. Local GovView, who's using local GovView here? I want to double that by next year. I get invited back. This is an online training platform. It's check the box HR. It's management courses for new managers. It's dealing with conflict with your leadership. There's all kinds of online platform training activities. You can be the administrator and assign anti-harassment course every year to your staff. They go through the class, they answer some questions at the end. Hopefully they pass. You'll find out if they do or not. If they pass, you get a certificate, they get a certificate. It's the check the box HR.
So I'll just add that we just recently started using local GovView and to do our safety trainings. Just to kind of check the box. We have someone who's had some experience in a previous entity who got audited by L&I. And so she's like, we got to make sure that all of our safety trainings hit, all of the check boxes as far as L&I is concerned. And so this is a way that we're just ensuring it's done. Everybody's, records are kept in local GovView. And so that's a great resource.
Safety committee that L&I requires for employers over a certain number of staff. So yeah, that'll help you with compliance for sure. MRSC. I could direct you to that if we have some time on the web. But you can ask a legal research question with MRSC. Enduris pre-purchases that for all of our members. So those can be non-risk management, non-insurance related questions. They can be related to governance. They can be related to finance. They can be related to open public meetings or what's record retention. You can ask those types of questions to MRSC. They'll give you a legally researched answer based on the RCW and the fact, and you can take that to the bank. They're lawyers. So that's some partnership that Enduris pays for. If you're not using MRSC, I think that's one of our more underutilized. We do get about 30 to 40 inquiries a month from our membership. I think it would be much more.
Does MRSC share any of that information with SAO? Okay.
They don't really document.
Yeah, it's not solution. So they shouldn't.
Yeah, and you get that what we call it legal client privilege. Not sure if you can take that to the bank. Good question to ask MRFC.
Yeah.
You get the legal answer. And then finally, there's the pre-defense program. We talked a lot about that this morning, but if you have an employee issue, please give Enduris a proactive call on that. Don't wait to get sued. We got to meet Holly this morning. She had a good time and she said she'd like to come back sometime. So remember that one. Here's some of the things that the risk control team does. We can help with review of your property and assets and make sure your schedules are up to date. Everything costs way more than it did 5 years ago. I don't tell anybody. Property walkthrough for risk identification. Coverage explanation. Hey, are we covered for, things like that? I can probably help with some of those types of questions. And then we have the Enduris portal. Who's familiar with the portal? Who has a login? Okay. Gives you access to all of your policy info. You can make policy changes on there. So if you acquire a vehicle, you can just add it on the portal. You can download our documents. You can download our entire library. It doesn't cost a thing. We have claim forms online as well. You can also download our claims manual. And thank you for filling out your renewal this year. That's also where we do renewal. So that's Enduris's front page, our cool new website. I bet you didn't know we insured the space needle. Just kidding. Corey, can you click on the very top Enduris.us on that slide? Will that redirect you, or you can drag Enduris's website over?
It should. Let's do this. I'm here.
Okay. So who just goes to work every day and says, I think I'll check out Enduris and see what's new on the website. No, you guys all have work to do and stuff. So I just wanted to show you a few things that's on our website. So if you ever have a downtime where you exhale, I don't know when that happens, but check out a few things going on our website. And this is our new interface. If you haven't been on our website for a while, our website was pretty good before. I thought it was pretty interactive. Now we're trying to load more on there. So, Corey, could you go to the member portal?
Mhm.
There's a few different ways to log on. We have our old way when we created this. Every member had one logon. And so whenever there was a new administrator that had that password, it never got passed on. And there's a lot of confusion about just even Enduris, let alone our portal. Now you can be cool like Corey, and you can get your own associated logon with our Enduris portal as an individual. It's associated with your email address rather than your membership. The advantage to that is you get to maintain your own password. You don't have to share with anybody on the legacy login. And if you don't have that, and I assume a lot of you do not, contact this guy down here. Just click and say, hey, I met with Joe and he wants me to get a login. And he'll get you one. And you can be cool like Corey, full access to all of our suite of risk management and local government stuff. So, but since I'm on the back end, we got to do the legacy login to get onto the Enduris page, and there's all Corey's secret stuff there. So,
We'll go to that other.
you want to go into yours?
I mean,
that'd
that's
be
fine.
easier.
Yeah, let's just do that.
So we're in Spokane Conservation District's portal site, and yours will look exactly the same. Yeah. So I just wanted to show people that aren't familiar with this. When you have a login, you can request an evidence of coverage. You can access our newsletters. You can access your documents, and that includes auto ID cards, evidence of coverage. If you just want to read our property policy someday, here it is. Oh, who does finance that's in this group? The financial note to the auditor is in there. That note, the note X.
Yeah.
The portal.
Where
So
at?
one person knew that. So cool.
I do this.
You can do policy changes, and that's where you can add property or add a vehicle, delete a vehicle. Check your schedules every once in a while. That'll be to your benefit. Sometimes I find members that forgot to delete a building 10 years ago. Don't pay for that. Here's at the bottom, I don't know why we hid it down there, but our risk management handbook. Don't use that employee handbook template. It's old. It's not updated. Once upon a time, it was cool. I'm working on a solution. I might talk about it a little bit tomorrow. I think I was asked to talk about it a little bit. We'll fix that really soon. Don't click there, click there. And then there's the claims manual that you can download. It's a great manual on what to do in an accident. Don't say, I'm sorry, I was totally at fault.
Take care of
I have insurance, they'll pay. Yes. Claim for damage form. Anybody ever got sued? Yeah, right now. So somebody threatens a lawsuit to you. You might have one of your own, and you are required to have one by RCW. Whether you knew it or not, doesn't matter. You can always use Enduris's. And we have it right there. If somebody threatens to sue you, give them the claim for damage form. Say, here you go. Please give that back to us. You'll hear from our risk pool. And they can tell you all the wrongs that ever occurred to them in writing. And that's RCW. You want more information about that? It's in both the claims manual and back to the website under the claims navigation page. So I'm struggling for words. Claims navigation clicking area.
You want me to go back there?
Yeah, the claims navigation clicking area.
Hey, there, the drop down menu.
So if you're wondering what this stuff is all about, there it is. I think most of the conservation districts have an agent to receive claims. You are required to have one, and then there's turnover, and nobody really knows what that ever is. And Enduris got everybody set up with that 20 years ago, and who was here 20 years ago that set that up? Some people are in good shape. I'm gonna think you passed a resolution. I'm gonna think you filed it with the state auditor. I did a long time ago. You're not sure? Check with the state auditor, or sorry, the county. County what? County clerk, okay. And we've had some counties come back and say, we have no clue what you're talking about. And then you ask. It's RCW 4.96. You want to go to local government?
Member portal,
Training.
Facility?
I'll go back to the main page again, Corey.
Okay.
And scroll down a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
So here's some navigation boxes. And some of the things that I just went through. But local gov view is right here. If you click on that, please. Corey's logged in. All right. This is a paid for service for every conservation district, every Enduris member. If you think you're the administrator, but you're not signed up for it, I really encourage you to talk with Cindy and get a login and start navigating around in here and seeing where it might benefit you for some of the safety courses, HR courses, some of the check the box HR courses. There's some defensive driving courses, and cyber was your last topic. There's 5 cyber courses now about spearphishing, and you know that might not be an Amazon gift card for free and stuff like that. So there's some of the safety courses that Corey's navigating through, and if you're the administrator, you can enter the email addresses of all your staff. You can you can separate them by department or by their responsibility, so you don't have to have everybody have chainsaw training, you just select. And yeah. I hope not. Drivers can get the driving courses and everybody should get the anti-harassment courses, right? So you can parse those out. People that are assigned these courses can start following the course on their own time. They can leave the course 10 minutes into it. Next time they log in, picks up right where they left off. They got to answer a few questions. They get it enough right. You get a certificate. They get the certificate. You just did a check the box HR thing. Yeah.
If we have an Enduris account, is there a limit to how many of our have a login?
No, there's not. Yeah, we have like some health districts with over 100 employees, and they've got their whole staff in there. And you can assign as many courses as you think people can handle. And it's a fully paid for service. Small, closer.
Human resource.
Workplace bullying.
Yeah, there's some good, hey, I'm a manager, I'm really good at what I was doing, now I'm in charge of people. You know, what am I doing now? There's some courses about that. There's some cyber courses, I think that's under IT or something like that, so. Discipline and termination, I mean, that's, the administrator's benefit is the administrator can just click on the course and download the course content. And you can be like, are we doing everything they're recommending here? You have to go through the whole training. It'd be nice if you did, but sometimes I'll just download it to see what's in there. And I might write a newsletter article based on that. So, that's great. Any more questions about local GovU? Any of the training that Enduris is providing? Just keep in mind that these are paid for services, and you can just sign up and utilize it at tomorrow, today. And contact Brian Wilson if you don't have a portal login. Any staff member that's administrative can get a portal login. Okay. We can transition back to the slide. Unless you want any more classes or something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It'll be a unique login because it's a third party. So that, I think that's kind of the catch point why some people just don't bridge from getting their portal login to a local GovU login. Too many passes. But that's a unique login. And yeah, you need to register. Local GovU keeps a storehouse of all of our members by their name. So if you just type in there and add yourself as the administrator, you can do that. But if you need some help, Cindy can direct you to some. And when you do look through that, if you are the HR person in the room, you can even set up new employee orientation. You can just assign them the suite of courses that you select, and you don't know what they're going to do the first couple of days anyway, and just go and watch some local GovU videos. And my wife goes through that every year. She's a school teacher, and that's how they administrate. And they work with the schools pool and they're vendor for all these safety courses. So it's employee orientation. It kind of formalizes your program and gives the employee a little bit of foundation that these are some of the things I need to know. Okay, I'll transition to general risk management. So these are some of the things that I'm seeing trends on. More equipment purchases. Okay, check. Educational programs. You guys have always done educational programs? now there's more. You guys are just doing more and more stuff, and I'm seeing volunteers now. I mean, that's wonderful. And somebody bought $100,000 drone once. What the heck are you guys doing? So I want to talk about drones as a refresher real quick.
You got 50 minutes. 50.
Zero? Okay. All right, school programs. Seeing more field trips. A few after school programs. Day camp. One overnight camp. Not suggesting that, Becca. But I worked really hard with Becca on that. So anybody have that stuff going on? I don't want to bore you guys are done with it. Okay. Adult programs, less concerns, right? Because you're not working with minors, but there's still some things, there's conservation practices, various outreach with landowners. I was just making, I get a lot of contracts from conservation districts on some of your collaborative work stuff. Okay. Oh, more outreach with schools and general public. I wanted to give you my endorsement on that. I'm not saying don't do it. I mean, I'm your coverage guy. Don't do that. You might get sued. It's a big part of what you do. And we got your back. We're your partner in risk management too. So we want to safeguard the program. We want the program to be as successful from a safety standpoint or risk management standpoint as possible. So they invite you back. So it kicks off something maybe even bigger or more successful. So I just want to emphasize when you're working with kids, the importance of screening your district employees and your district volunteers. Everybody has employees and you have more than you used to. And you have more volunteers now than you used to have. Is your net starting to expand a little more? Make sure you have a screening process for your volunteers also. Don't overlook your volunteers. They're probably some of your most valuable people sometimes when you're trying to get something done. But don't overlook them. I'm seeing events that are collaborative, so it's not just the conservation district's events. There's others, either in partnership or vendoring. If they're bringing volunteers, how are they screening their volunteers, especially if you got kids around? Important question. It might be a nonprofit. Maybe they're overlooking things. I could tell scary stories. Is the other party asking you to sign a contract? And I talked about the complication of somebody signing a contract over and, hey, this is great. Appreciate the collaboration. Here, go to the last page and sign this. Might not always be a good idea. And Enduris is, I had to talk about the operation with you, or what the work is, and what operational risk you should assume, and what operational risk maybe you shouldn't, and it's all your control. Or does the conservation need to contact with other parties? And that's what I'm seeing, like the plant sales and the tree sales and things like that. They seem like they're expanding. The outreach and the vendors that want to come in and do demos or trade their wares or do a little advertisement. I am really recommending to get a sign-up form for those folks. They might be a business and they have insurance. Wonderful, get their insurance too. But make sure your sign-up form, says who, what, where, when, why, and it also has a little waiver in there, because they might have an extension cord like the one that's you take down, but they don't take it down. Somebody that you invited trips over it. If they don't have insurance, guess what, you're going to sue for 20 more. And Holly just, then you're going to call Holly. You can't call me anymore. So get the vendors to just get a sign up form, and have them sign some kind of hold harmless, that they're their own entity, they're not being, they realize whatever risks, and whatever risks. And they'll provide you a proof of insurance, and if they can't, then we can talk about it. I mean, not everybody has insurance, and I mean, name a really small group of people with like interests, and they're not incorporated, they're not a fundraising arm, you might come across people like that. And so on the way. And then try to distinguish the difference between education programs and work programs, because you need to treat those a little differently too. Especially the way the agreements work, who's the upper party? Is it the district or is it the other party? So determining the risk, if it's work, you have volunteers involved. Are the volunteers your volunteers, or is a different organization like a nonprofit collaborating with you and bring their volunteers? Two different approaches to that. School field trips. Offsite stuff. I think they're really cool. I'm glad the conservation districts are getting involved with field trips. Don't assume the school district is looking out for you. And please, if you're acting just as an educational facilitator, this is cool stuff we're going to show you, and we want to help you get excited about some of the things out here. Get off your video games, come outside. Under most circumstances, the conservation district is acting as an educational facilitator. You're not in custody of kids. I mean, sometimes you may be, but I'm going to assume on a field trip, the school is in custody of these kids at all times. Transportation, custody, care, meals, snacks, boo-boos, allergies, waivers, all those things. And it only takes one. I mean, I can name off, the kid that ate a cookie, had a peanut ingredient, kid died. Big lawsuit. If the district is just an educational facilitator, know your role and make it clear to the school what their role is, what their expectations are. You don't have to exchange insurances. You don't have to have a one-sided contract that's 100% in your favor, but like what do they call it, an MOU, some kind of their government also. And you can say, hey, this is going to be fun, this is going to be cool, this is what we're going to do, but these are your responsibilities, and this is what we're going to do. And it's good to memorialize those things in case something bad does happen. Any questions? What we're covering? Am I sucking all the air out of it yet? Oh, more stuff. Something more information. These are some of the things that I would try to cover in an agreement. That's my non-legal opinion. Who's got custody responsibility? I thought the burden's with the school. Is there a waiver in favor of the conservation district? Is that necessary? And maybe necessary. And we expect the kids to get there somehow, but it's not from the conservation district. I don't have any buses insured with the conservation district. Food and snacks, I burden to the school in most cases. Medical release and allergies, burden to the school. And you're putting this on the MOUs. This is what you guys are doing. We're not doing that stuff. Photography. Photography, it might be unclear if you can take pictures or not. Just try to work that through before the field trip. Because you might want to post something on social media, you might want to post something on your website. Make sure you work through photography permissions. Usually schools will handle permission forms, but if you're preparing this well enough in advance and you're planning this with the school administration, say, can you put our name in there too on the permission slip form that we're held harmless also? Because the school will do that. for them. And I've seen school districts go, oh, yeah, we can do that.
So I feel like we've chatted about this, but the transportation, like, sometimes schools have a hard time getting funding for that, so we'll be able to get the funding and coordinate that part of it, but that's just something we'll say is our responsibility. Not saying that this is our program and that's why that agreement is important, right? To really.
Because without the agreement, now you're just kind of in the fallout zone, you're linked to it.
Mhm.
You can say, hey, we're ready, we're mileage, you're about to work through. So you all can afford to do this, that's fine. But you're not gonna hold us liable or responsible, accountable for busing.
Mhm. So in that permission slip and the hold harmless clause, I mean, a lot of times that's not probably going to be, and just coordinate, even if we are well in advance, coordinating that effort with a school district is, I would say, probably nearly impossible.
Done,
You have?
yeah. Snohomish Conservation put together a great template. They, there's been some turnover there, so I'm gonna have to re-ask her. You can feel free to ask them. I don't even know if anyone would know it exists. But I have their permission to kind of share that within your own circle. And Snohomish wrote a really nice agreement. And then Benton started using it for the salmon summit. It's a year-by-year thing. I've shared it with the other CDs through time. I'm just not sure. Hey, can we be responsible for anything that happens to these kids? Well, I hope not. But here's a good example of something to do. It's not legally vetted. I wish there was somebody to do that. But it's a really good document. I thought they did a really good job with it on the due diligence. They might have stole it from somebody else.
You're talking about the agreement between the school district and the district. The
Yeah.
conservation district.
Exactly.
Okay, not saying that on the permission slip itself, there should be a waiver acknowledging.
That'd be hard to slip in.
That's what, that's what I was.
Sometimes those things are addressed at the beginning of the school year when they're doing sign-up forms.
Mhm.
And sometimes they're addressed at the last week or something like that.
Right.
But it's a good thing to mention. Hey, if you're doing permission slips and medical release and stuff like that, can you just slip our name in to be held harmless next to the school?
Mhm.
See their form. It'll put you in the same standing, because the school's being held harmless and you're not. Then you're kind of on an unequal standing. We have to argue, oh yeah, but you weren't as involved. But and if one lawsuit isn't going to stick, there's some legal terms that can say, Holly threw one out there that said if you're negligent in the termination of an employee and you lose the suit, you have to pay the other attorney also. Well, same thing works with liability too, where somebody else's limits aren't available or they're exhausted, and your limits will just replenish, and there's no limit to that. And see, I'm protecting the conservation districts, and I'm also protecting Enduris. We provide $20 million of coverage. School districts carry a lot of liability too. They carry like 20 million. I don't know if they're above or below that amount right now. They're having a really hard time qualifying for the insurance. And it's some of the types of concerns with school districts right now. But they have a lot of liability too, and you're protected by the same RCW they are. So that's on equal footing. So why wouldn't you go for that? Whole harmless, you can ask for that. So we're going to change. The teacher probably doesn't know about it, but somebody in the administrative office maybe does. Sure.
We talked about between the district and the school district. Is this a kind of partnership agreement that all this cheers?
Yeah. One of these steps is what the agreement could include. Spell it out like an MOU, like, hey, we're an educational facilitator and we're gonna you know, show A, B, and C and demonstrate. And then, but we're not watching kids. That's your job, and you will do transportation, chaperone, yeah, snacks. I'll watch today. Much more time we have for
About 45.
okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, half an hour. I can't do it. You know?
Um, Volunteer programs, this is for work, where you're bringing your own conservation district volunteers in, or you're collaborating with maybe a nonprofit that's bringing their own team of volunteers. These are for your volunteers, your conservation district volunteers. Enduris covers members, volunteers for liability. No different from an employee. Acting under the scope and duty of the member. So if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, something bad happens, we got your back. Liability provides coverage for acts of negligence, including third-party bodily injury and property damage. So they got to break something that doesn't belong to you guys. If they drive into a fence, maybe they spike a water line on it. Run what?
I don't remember the mini warehouse with the truck, that was an employee, but.
Something. Okay. If the volunteer damages third party's property, the district could be deemed negligent and responsible for the damage, no different from the employee. This is likely to be covered by the nurse as long as the volunteer is acting under scope and duties. That, I hope that's clear. The volunteer is you. So again, make sure you're vetting your volunteers, you're training your volunteers. I get this question a lot. Joe, do you cover volunteers? What are you worried about? What if they get hurt? And that's the more likely outcomes. What if they get hurt? Put them on your L&I policy as volunteers. You just go on L&I, click the volunteer program, and they have volunteer medical. There's no recourse for that otherwise. You just say, gee, I'm sorry, and then you got to have to rely on the forms that you have them sign up for and try to walk away generally. But you still want to have volunteer programs. You want to come back the next year, add to your medical policy and say, hey, I'm sorry that happened. We bought some medical coverage for you through L&I, and we're going to turn in a claim for you through L&I. Super cheap coverage because there's no income exchange for that like an employee. So if you're not doing that and you have volunteers, please go on to L&I, just type volunteer in the search box, you'll find everything you need. Recording one on our website. I didn't go to our risk management documents, but these are some examples of risk management documents that Enduris has that you can download. You got to have that login. You have a special login before you has. She's not going to share her password. You got to contact Brian in our office and get your own associated login. So we have administration for volunteer programs. We have some sample agreements for an individual volunteer, for an organizational volunteer. That's where a nonprofit's going to bring their own volunteers to help with your project. Sample policies and procedures for volunteer workers. There's some steps in there. You can edit those to make them fit your group. You can edit those to make them fit your culture. You can edit them to ramp them up if you send them to your lawyer and take $300 here to do that and perfect. You can do any of that. These are good templates. You can build them. You don't have something in place now, but you want to compare. Any questions on this? Some more volunteer administration. Have a selection and screening process. Are your volunteers filling out an application if they want to volunteer with you? Are you doing national background checks? Who does watch background checks versus, and who does national background checks? And then who does no background checks? So national is the way to go. Watch program is only going to bring up convictions in the state of Washington, and it's very limited. I'm working on a partnership right now for a national background check vendor on a discount. And we'll release that before the next renewal. I think we're really, really close. Boy Scouts, national background check. Nonprofits, generally national background check. Churches, national background check. Schools, national background check. Where do the sex offenders go? I hope not. That was churches 20 years ago. And yeah, the Boy Scouts had a lot of problems. I don't even know if it's Boy Scouts anymore. The only thing you have is your reputation, and so the national background check just really helps you out, even if the person just been caught before or something. It's just great safeguards. If people want to work with kids if they're a groomer and they can't do it at school now, they can't do it. They're going to look for their way. It was churches 20 years ago. They're doing national background checks now. They're so desperate for volunteers. Qualify your volunteers. Once they pass through the hoops, now you got to qualify them. Can they run a chainsaw? I don't know. Not everybody can, right? Worst industrial accident I ever had in insurance. Somebody got their arm in a wood chipper. Didn't turn out well. It was a lawsuit. Yeah, it was bad. So be careful with your wood chippers. Train your volunteers. Give them expectations, rules, hours. Don't show up drunk. Familiarity with equipment and your requirements on protective equipment, like if you're chopping up brush, you should have eye protection and things like that. Gloves. Whatever is applicable to the job and the risk, think that through and have that stuff available for them. They're going to show up without it, even if you tell them to bring it. Have that stuff available for them. Be prepared. Okay. Almost done. Who has equipment now that they're renting out?
Louis CE does.
I'm scared to raise my hand.
Yeah, I think I went through that. I went through that. They're doing a contract every time. Don't call it. I gave them a contract that you can use. We have one you can download with a whole harmless and a damage waiver. Require insurance wherever possible. Not every gentleman farmer is going to be able to give you $1 million certificate of insurance, naming the conservation as additional insured. Try and still have them sign the waiver. It says you break it, you're responsible for it. We'll catch you. We don't want to do a claim with Enduris because then they're going to sue you. So insurance is better than Enduris suing somebody that wants to use your equipment. Holly will sue them. She thought Hollywood likes, right?
Okay.
Are you inspecting your equipment? Are you maintaining your equipment on schedule? You have a punch sheet, a drop off, and pre-rental that equipment is in its condition and ready to rent. And when the person drops it off again, is it still in good operable condition to rent out to the next person? Once it has its hours in, what do you gotta do? You gotta grease it, you have to service, I don't know what belts, I don't know, tell me something that you have and what kind of service it needs. Follow the manual if something bad does happen and you're not doing any of this stuff, you gotta go home again, send you back. So just have a punch sheet. Designate somebody and tell them that that's an important part of their job. Is the equipment complicated and they gotta be a little trained and oriented on how to use it? Not a bad idea to show them how to start it, not a bad idea to, show them the safety equipment, the safeguards or whatever. Don't take the shield off, whatever it is. Who's transporting it? Are you guys transporting it with your vehicle? One of your employees, 24 employees doing it with their own vehicle? Is somebody picking it up and driving off with it in their own vehicle? Three different potential outcomes there. You can insure the equipment with Enduris. Your burden is $1,000 deductible if it's damaged or destroyed, stolen, whatnot. So just the capital alone of $1,000, insuring it's probably much less. But you'd have $1,000 deductible on that. So it's good to see insurance. Good to know if they're responsible, the trailer, the hitch. Any one loss, there'd be $1,000 deductible for each loss. So yeah, any piece of equipment that was damaged. So if you had something that's only worth $500, I'm not sure if you want to insure it. Because it's $1,000 deductible for it, but if it's in there in a shop with $20,000 of stuff, it's part of the $20,000. So that's how you can account for it if it's stolen out of your shop or something like that. Damage too. Yeah. There's that sample agreement that I sent to Bob, and I think some of you are using that. But that's still pretty tried and true. You can download that on it. Okay, that's slide for drones. I think a lot of people have been purchasing drones. They're getting used for conservation practices now, and control districts. Fire is starting to use them so they can kind of like a bird's eye view of what's going on out there that they can't see them. That's pretty amazing. So, eligible classes of drones, so go buy those. Okay, real simple. You can fly your drone and you have liability insurance. So liability means if you cause damage to a third party, you run it into their roof, you cause roof damage, that's liability coverage, you're good. You run it into a power line, you take out a 5-block radius with your drone, somebody sues you, will respond to you, liability is included. You can add it to your policy, just like your equipment. You add it to the Enduris policy. I want to say this over and over again. We don't cover the drone if it crashes while in flight. So if you have a $100,000 drone, you want a special policy for that. And Cindy has a special application to cover it outside of Enduris. I can't remember the name of the company, but we can apply for coverage while the drone's in flight, and you probably want that coverage. So we can cover it if it's in a fire while it's stolen. We can cover it if it's stolen, but we can't cover it if it crashes while in flight. While you're actually, we don't charge hardly nothing for covering a drone. It's like $50, something like it's not much at all. The coverage for that is about 10% of the value of your drone. So I can't wait to get the quote back on that $10,000 drone and show somebody but it just talks about the probability of you losing it also because the premiums are so high for those. So we've written about a handful of these policies. They're pretty reliable. They have stuff in there. of liability coverage as well. And they can do additional insurance and things like that if you're doing work for like over a landowner or something. So you want to talk about drones or you want to talk about something else? Who's using drones for conservation practices? Give me an example.
We take pictures, video.
$100,000 drone and something like that.
Yeah, we have one of those too.
Photography, what are those? Yeah. Well, that's everything. Just wanted to follow up if anyone has any questions. Anything I covered, anything I didn't cover. You must be happy.
Maybe just a couple questions about stuff you've covered in the past. So in the past, like last couple of years, you came to WC with some recommendations around fidelity bonding.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you have any updates for us related to that, or just want to summarize where we're at on the recommendations from Enduris around fidelity bonding.
Yeah, and where my recommendations were coming from was straight from the state auditor. And what's their guidebook called? It's governmental
Bars manual.
BART manual. Yeah, and so the BART manual states that your government districts are better with a blanket bond than a named position bond, and we still have districts, not all conservation districts, but just general Enduris members that have a lot of these named position bonds. And I tell everybody, if you're naming individual people on your policy for bonding, change it to blanket bond. You get broader coverage. You don't have to do the policy maintenance because it never fails every renewal when we ask someone to review their policy. We'll get a new administrator for 10 years and they'll say, oh, I don't even know who that person is. I think they were commissioner 3 years ago. And if you had a claim on the new commissioner and you didn't add them to your policy, you got no claim because you're still naming the old person. So do the blanket coverage. That's one of the things I want to emphasize. And I can't tell you which conservation districts have the blanket coverage and which have the named position. But just remember, name position, naming people is Blockbuster and blanket coverage is Netflix. So just phase out the old way of doing that. The amount of bond is up to each individual district. There's no certain regulatory standard that says you have to have a bond for X number of dollars. And the bond, by the way, it covers embezzlement, employee theft, people writing checks where they're not supposed to be written. We've had a few claims like that lately. So we also can have fraudulent instruction. Have you heard of those claims? Maybe the person before me was talking about the email hacking that's happening, and then they you see a bill due, and they say, "Oh, don't pay it there anymore. Use the routing number, and it's due tomorrow, and you better pay it now, or you'll never." And we've had members put a down payment on a fire truck and lose the money. We had a member, I can't remember what they're doing a down payment on. We had a port get spoofed on insurance, but somebody had my email address, and almost got away with it. The port approved the payment, but the county stopped them on the line and said, "This looks weird," and stopped them. So then I had a really confusing conversation with the director who thought they got an email from me, and so So it turned out it was a spoof, almost, he authorized the payment of $90,000. Never would have saw it again. Brandy, am I addressing the question yet directly?
I just thought that it would be a good idea to come back to that, because you laid that out at a WAC meeting, but hasn't been discussed since. Just, from my perspective, it's been a little challenging to navigate a response to that recommendation that you made, because there's some stuff in statute that it's hard to crosswalk with what you were saying. And so I know you don't give legal advice, but so I'm just looking for you to just sort of let us know where you're at on it. Is there any additional nuances that you want for us to understand? And I guess I'm telegraphing it because it's still like when we just did our renewal with you, the survey, the question came up. It's a little bit opaque, even the way that your survey question is worded, whether or not we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, so the RCW, the auditor wants certain types of districts to be bonded. And municipalities specifically. I mean, it's specific about municipalities. And it has a limit for municipalities, I think it's 50,000 if I recall. Would that cover your conservation district? I think it would cover some conservation districts, but who has a bond, who has a budget more than $50,000? Who has inflows and outflows that are greater than or less than $50,000? You have more than one person allowed to write checks. Do you have an approval process for authorizing payments? You need to do a risk assessment of your finances to determine what size of a bond you need to have. And we can provide a limit of insurance, and this is probably the confusing part, is we can provide a limit of coverage between $2,500, which we don't charge for, up to $1 million, which we charge, I don't know, $5,000 for or so, per year. Sometimes your limit is set for you because of a grant that you got. And the contract requires you to have a bond limit that's equal to the amount of grants. So I've been increasing people's limits to a contract to $4 million, $500,000, etc. But each individual district is going to have to do their own risk assessment to determine what their coverage need is. If the district doesn't have a process for figuring that out, and there's kind of like the inflows versus outflows and deposits versus withdrawals. You can have peak seasons. Insure to your maximum that you think you can lose at any one time. We have another district, fire district. They had an administrator that had complete control, and she was a bad actor. She just was siphoning money for the last 10 years from the district. They had a $100,000 limit with Enduris. I think we're going to pay $100,000 on that. I'm not sure yet. The auditor's there right now, figuring this out. But they think they lost well more than that in that course of time. So the risk management side, where you can safeguard, and then there's the realistic. What's our budget? What's our inflows and outflows? What's our peak season? What kind of controls? And you can choose a limit to the district's desire within that. And I can put different limits too. But most conservation districts carry a limit of 25,000 or greater, but we have some that carry 2,500. We don't have a lot of claims in that, but it's been on the rise. Some of it's economy and some of it's the cyber stuff.
So Joe, could I go into the portal and see who we've either named or the positions we've named?
Portal mainstream has a section
Under the criminal
limits and name position.
Okay.
And you'll look around your
Uh-huh.
you'll probably something I'll be working on once I'm not in Spokane and send out the binder, will have your limit on.
Mhm.
Thanks a lot.